Hey guys, what's up? I'm Zach. Welcome to Zach's Soapbox. This is the video for the week of Friday, September 12th, 2025. Hello everyone, I'm your host. I'm Zach. Welcome to my soapbox and my little corner of YouTube, where once a week I get on here, speak my mind, talk about whatever I want to talk about. You guys give me like, comments, share, feedback, all that crap. Be sure to feel free to like, comment, and share on this video. It really helps boost the channel. We've been stuck around 48 subs as of right now, but we've been doing pretty good. We've been averaging about 200 views, maybe a little more than 200 views a week, which is not bad for my little channel that's all done organically and with no boosting or anything like that, and no paid advertisements, and just me. So the fact that like 200 people a week are watching my stuff is pretty astounding and pretty amazing. Feel free to share this video if you'd like, that sort of thing. But I'm also been known to do like requests for videos and topics submitted by fans and people that, listeners of the show. And this week's video is a fan request. And so that's what we're going to do. Let me get my paper here. This week's topic is my 5 favorite movies and why they're my 5 favorite movies. So let's get started. I wrote these down, but I'm not sure I would put them in the order that I wrote them in. So let's do my top 5 favorite movies. Here we go. The 5th, I'll go from bottom up. 5th, I'll put The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves. One of the reasons that's one of my favorite movies is because there's a lot of satanic rubs with it. Like particularly like when Al Pacino's character says to Keanu Reeves, never let him see it coming and stay small. There's a very satanic rub there in the sense that like of lesser magic. Sometimes with an enemy, you kind of have to camouflage yourself, and sometimes it's best to keep yourself small and then let, your successes be a surprise. Don't ever let nobody see it coming. You know what I mean? That sort of thing, like Al Pacino says in that movie. Also, there's like the satanic aspect of like Keanu Reeves kind of getting everything he ever wanted, and that sort of thing. Now, there's some things in there thrown in from the like Christian mythology for entertainment purposes, and mass consumption. But I certainly think that that's a very satanic film, for a couple different reasons. But that's just one that comes to mind. That's the 5th one. And then the 4th one, I'll put Satanist, the Devil's Mask, which is a documentary film about the Church of Satan. You can find it on Amazon. It's like with 3 other movies on it. I have it on DVD. What I like about that movie is it shows early Church of Satan footage, and like some of the rituals from like the satanic rituals and stuff are done at the Black House, because it was recorded in like 1969, right around the time of the publishing of the Satanic Bible. So what's cool is it's like you get to see a glimpse of like what the church was like when Dr. LaVey was running the church out of his house, because the original address for the Church of Satan was Dr. LaVey's personal home address at 6114 California Street in San Francisco. The house isn't there anymore, but you get to see the Black House on the inside and the outside, and the Den of Inquiry and things like that. So for a Church of Satan member and someone who's interested in church history, it's pretty interesting for someone like me, to see those rituals done with because I've actually, confession time, I've never actually done a ritual with another human being, with another Satanist. I've always done solitary rituals, and I've never had a chance yet to do a ritual in mass with other Satanists and, shout hail Satan and everything like that. So, you know what I mean? But no, so I'll put Satanist, The Devil's Mask as one of my favorite movies. These aren't necessarily in a particular order. We'll call that number 4. And then number 3, we'll do Mission to Moscow. Mission to Moscow is a 1943 black and white film put out by Warner Brothers Pictures, starring Walter Houston, Angelica Houston's father, as ambassador to the Soviet Union, Joseph E. Davies, and he met with Stalin, and he was there during the Moscow trials. And a lot of people say that the Moscow trials were a frame up, but according to Joseph E. Davies' own, because the movie is based on a book called The Mission of Moscow by Joseph E. Davies, and Joseph E. Davies was a trial lawyer that studied at the University of Wisconsin, and he even said, that these trials appear to be genuine, and these guys appear to be at least guilty of what they're being accused of. But so what I like about Mission to Moscow is it actually is one of the few movies that actually, in the West, that was produced in the West, that actually shows the Soviet people as actual human beings and actual people. Instead of like when you watch Red Dawn or Rambo, where they're just mowing down the whole fucking Russian army, or Wolverines, Red Dawn is a good movie too, Rambo is a good movie too, but they're action flicks, So what I like about Mission to Moscow is it shows like women as conductors, women, granted this is a movie from the 40s, in America, women didn't even get the right to vote until 1920. And like in the USSR, women are in coal mines and being coal miners, and look at like the deadliest female sniper of all time, Lyudmila Pavlichenko, 309 confirmed kills, things like that. So, no, for that reason alone, it kind of shows Stalin and other Soviet people and Soviet leaders as human beings. So I kind of like that when you humanize people that are supposed to be the enemy, so to speak. And then that leaves me with my last, two. So I'll go Shawshank Redemption with, Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman and, all kinds of other actors. When that movie first came out, nobody went and saw it. It bombed at the box office. But it's one of the movies where after it's done with its theatrical run, it really takes off. Like everybody's seen that movie. Everybody owns that movie at home. It's one of my favorite movies because what I like about it is here's Andy Dufresne, who is, beat up in prison. He's taken advantage of by the asshole warden, things like that, etc., etc. But ultimately, he lives well and he gets his best revenge. The asshole warden blows his head off. The asshole guard goes to prison, and here's Andy Dufresne, crawling through the shit pipe and then comes out smelling like a rose. I would argue that there's also a little bit of a satanic rub there in the sense that, in Satanism we advocate, kind of lex talionis and retributive justice, eye for an eye. But eye for an eye and retributive justice doesn't always necessarily have to be like, it's to fit in kind and like degree of the crime. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be something violent. It could be something like living well is the best revenge. And Andy Dufresne certainly does that as he gets the best of all his enemies and lives well in the end. So I certainly, like that movie from that perspective. Plus, it's just a good story, you know what I mean? Now, in the book, like, in the movie where Morgan Freeman plays Red, he's red because he's Otis Redding. But I guess in the book, he's red because he's Irish and has red hair. And it's, red-haired Irishman in the book. I've never read the book, but everybody that's read the book says the book was better than the movie. Kind of find it hard to believe, but okay. Anyway, but so Shawshank Redemption for my number 2. And in my number 1 all time would almost have to be Forrest Gump. What I like about Forrest Gump is that he's an underdog. Here's someone who was given challenges and born with challenges, but yet he overcame them all, and he wasn't supposed to, be anything. Like when Sally Field's character is talking to the one principal at the school, and he's like, well, your boy's different, Mrs. Gump. He's going to have to go to a special school, And she's like, my boy might be different and a bit on the slow side, but he's going to have the same opportunities as anybody else, right? But what I like about Forrest is that he overcomes all this adversity, but almost does it haphazardly and backs into successes. That sort of thing. So the idea of like, say, earthly success, becomes a gazillionaire and Forrest his own words and the Bubba Gump Shrimp Corporation and this and that and this and that. And a war hero when he won the Medal of Honor because he was running, you know what I mean? But one of the things that always got me was like, where he says, you wouldn't believe it if I told you, but I can run like the wind blows. And I always felt like I could relate to that, in the sense that I can't physically run. But like say about me doing these videos, I'm seen by people all over the United States and all over the world. So with technology the way it is today, even though I have physical limitations, I can run like the wind blows and I can reach more people with thoughts and ideas and things like that than I ever could with just two pair of legs. Or with a pair with two legs, and not two pairs of legs, two legs. So technology's almost in a way made a disability a moot point. And so you wouldn't believe it if I told you, but I can run like the wind blows. Take your pick. It depends on what you want to do. Take, say, even me moving out to Vegas. Oh, I can't believe he actually did that. Well, why not? You know what I mean? Just because you don't have the balls to do it, doesn't mean that I don't have the balls to do it. You know what I mean? Or, stuff like that. So, but what I like about Forrest Gump is he's really kind of the embodiment of the idea of victory being the basis for might. That it's not necessarily even Forrest is like intellectual prowess that makes him the best, but it's the fact that he just kind of has the tenacity to persevere. His mom always said, life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And if God intended us all to be the same and he gave us all braces on our legs first, everybody's life experience is different. That kind of thing. So I have to pick Forrest Gump. Plus, I almost feel like I've lived like somewhat of a Forrest Gump sort of life. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I just feel like as I'm getting older, the limitations that I was told that I had were kind of bullshit. And those limitations really weren't real. They were just people, that's how they perceive you. So it's not that you have limitations. Sometimes it's like people's ableist assumptions that place limitations on a person, so to speak. But anyway, that's enough rambling, guys. But those are my 5 favorite movies. This video was done by request for Martin Evans. Thanks, Martin, for the idea and the inspiration. And keep on watching, keep on rocking, man. All right, guys. See you later.